Greetings, PEZ heads. I've been trying to think of what the heck can I do for a video, and I just realized that recently I was selling some stuff on eBay, and one of the things I was selling was a part of a dispenser. It was an original part from a dispenser, and a potential buyer emailed me and asked me what I thought of basically piecing together PEZ dispensers. He had been criticized for doing that, and I emailed him back and said, well, that's how I've got some of my best PEZ, is by piecing them together. And what I mean by that is buying an incomplete vintage PEZ when I know I can get a part for it from available parts lists, getting it at a reduced price, buying the part for a reasonable price, putting it together, and I've got a pretty nice dispenser for the price, which usually is much cheaper than actually buying the dispenser. So that's what I'm going to talk about a little bit, and I'll show you some of my dispensers that I have pieced together over the years, and do some fast explaining about them, so I can get through this without taking too long. So let's get started. Okay, I'm going to start with my beautiful 3.8 stemmed Doctor, which is mint as can be. I bought this PEZ, 13 years ago on eBay. No, it wasn't that long ago. I don't know. Well, whatever. It was a long time ago. And it didn't have a reflector. Had everything else. Didn't have a reflector. But otherwise, it was perfect. And I said, maybe I can get a reflector someday. So at the time, well, and even now, but at the time I bought this, there was no known lists of parts available. I just bought it in the hopes that I would get a reflector. I did a little research, and I found that at the time there was a guy who made aluminum reflectors. They were spun aluminum reflectors, and I bought one of those to put on him. It was a reproduction, obvious reproduction, but beautiful, very shiny, and very, very neat. And I put it on him for, I guess I had that thing on him for years, 3 years, anyway, 4 years. And then I was lucky enough to be talking about this once in a PEZ chat, and a friend of mine privately emailed me and said, I might be able to get you a reflector. And he did get me a reflector gratis, and it was awesome, and there it is. But this PEZ dispenser is original. This is not the reflector that came with it, but this is an exact replacement reflector for it. Another one that I've had for many, many years, and in fact, when I bought this PEZ dispenser, it was just a head and a stem. And I'm like, boy, I'm never going to get anything for him, but I got it for like $7 or something, so I bought it. And over the years, slowly, I bought other Jiminy dispensers. Bought one with no hat, but 2 collars, left and right. So now, I added the collars. And then a good friend of mine, I traded a couple of PEZ Pals, bald PEZ Pals, that were 2.6 Yugo with the half flowers, I believe. I traded those for this hat, the 3-piece Jiminy Cricket hat, and I was able to assemble him. This took me about 7 years to assemble. But, there he is. And it worked out pretty good for me, and it was inexpensive, and he's complete, and I love him. This is a more recent one that I did. I bought a Thor off eBay. It's beautiful, and the picture, he looked beautiful. And when I got him, there was a portion of his hair here that had a mold defect. And it kind of bugged me because it didn't look that way in the picture. I kind of didn't get the same dispenser that was in the picture. However, the rest of the dispenser was absolutely mint, and I knew, and I paid a good price for it, and I knew that there were PEZ lists out there, PEZ lists of parts, and that Thor hair was one of the readily available parts. So I made an inquiry, and I bought a brand new mint Thor hair for $8 off a guy, and now Thor is beautiful. This is one that I'm think's kind of cool. My pilot, I bought the head on the stem, just the bare head, many years ago, and I was about to make a fantasy PEZ out of it because I didn't think where am I going to get the rest of the guy? I was going to make it because I have made a fantasy PEZ out of this head. That's something I'll show you guys someday. But anyway, this was about the time when a lot of these lists of parts were coming out, and one of the things on the list was all of the pilot gear. I mean, the headphones, the visor, the hat, and the emblem were all being sold separately. I bought all of them, assembled this pilot, and for the whole thing was much less than buying a pilot full. So, and he's awesome, and he's all mint. I mean, these parts are all new. They're all on the, they were all on a tree, and they were taken off, and so I've got like an awesome pilot. Speaking of the pilot, the stewardess is, I can figure this out here, my left and my right. The stewardess was the same way. I purchased the stewardess. It did not have a hat emblem. I made a reproduction hat emblem out of some plastic, like clay material. I think it's called Fimo. Kind of made it look like a thing, and I kind of put a little piece of tape on the back of it, and I taped it on there. Had it on there for I don't know how many years. And then, just like the pilot, the parts lists surfaced, and there was the stewardess emblem, and I think I paid, I don't know, $10 for the stewardess emblem. Put it on my stewardess, and now I've got an awesome set, don't I? Yes, I do. This guy, you see a lot of these around missing hats or something, Well, originally I bought this guy, and he had all his parts, but one of his ears was busted. One of his ears was busted half off. Well, I waited and waited and waited. Looked and watched eBay. Ended up buying the head. The head on the inner sleeve. That's all it was on the auction. I bought it, got it pretty cheap, assembled this guy, good as new. Here's one more. The psychedelic guy. I put together a couple of these. A lot of times you'll get these, and they'll have the, cracked hinge hole here, or the finger will be broken off, or part of the eyeball will be missing, or something like that. Well, excuse me. I put together I don't know, maybe 3 of these different ones, and now this one is, as far as I'm concerned, perfect. The hand's been switched. Portion of the eyeball. These come apart quite easily, these eyeballs. I'll show you. So I've managed to put a couple of these together, and I consider this one to be just awesome. So, tell me, what are your thoughts on this subject? Is this blasphemy, or is this perfectly acceptable practice? I know that a lot of people that have these many parts will buy PEZ dispensers missing parts, complete them, and sell them as, you know, original PEZ dispensers. I feel they're original. You see no difference between me putting together parts on a PEZ dispenser than a home worker back in the 60s or 70s, or, you know, assembling them in their house for money. It's the same thing as far as I'm concerned. I'm using original parts meant for the dispenser, and I see absolutely no problem with it. What do you think? Until next time.